Hello, good evening, and welcome to the Talkin Kop. It is Wednesday night, it's the 19th of June, and we finally found Arne Slot. We didn't know where he was, then he was on holiday, but he's turned up now. He is the Liverpool manager, and he has done his first interview. And myself, Kev and Chris are going to have a little chat through that, and we're going to have a little look at the Euros. The Scotland game has just finished 1-1 with Switzerland. Belting game, by the way. But we'll have a little look at the Euros as it stands at the moment, as it approaches the end of the second round of games. And if there's any other stuff you want to throw in the chat, throw it in there. There might be some transfer stuff you've heard, and we might have a chat about it. But you know the rules. We know nothing about transfers, but if you want to throw a name in, we'll give our opinion, and then we'll move on. Kev, I'm going to come to you first. Arne Slot. People were banging on about, oh, we just made a little announcement and then there was nothing heard from him and he was on holiday. And me and Phil were talking about it last night, saying, look, something has to come fairly soon because he should be in around the AXA by now. And the talk is that some players are already back, and by Chetic and one or two others, and there's more coming back. I think he might have moved pre-season a little bit forward for some players, but it was good to see him, wasn't it? It was good to see him do the interview. And overall, did you think he handled it well? Because I think it was a tricky interview to do.
Yeah, I think he paid about enough respect to what was left to him. I think he handled it as well as he could. It was helpful that it was the club in-house interview.
Mm-hmm.
So he wasn't going to get questioned hard on anything. It was literally a hello, how are you? How are you feeling about it? Aren't you delighted? And get all the catchphrases in. It means more to us and all of that stuff.
Yeah.
Nice training gear on sale in the club shop. All the it was what you'd expect for a first interview. I don't think it wasn't like I'm going to revolutionize and reinvent football.
Yeah.
It wasn't everything goes out with the bathwater. It was, look, I've been dealt a really good set of cards here. We're going to change a little bit and we're going to evolve it, but don't expect too many changes. My biggest takeaway from that interview was don't expect massive transfers out. I think he wants to keep. I think a lot of things are going to stay the same. There might be a couple of additions, but I don't expect massive change. I think the biggest change that we're going to see this summer is the manager and the coaching staff.
Yeah.
And I think he'll want to keep as much the same as possible and evolve it.
Yeah, 100%. Like, to be honest with you, I was at 4:00. I was waiting for it to come on because I was dying to see what he had to say. And Chris, I said at the start there, it felt like a bit of a tricky interview to do because he has to kind of not pay homage to Jurgen Klopp, but he has to know what Jurgen Klopp has done at Liverpool, what he's left them, and then he doesn't want to demean what Jurgen Klopp has done, but at the same time he doesn't want to under promise or say things like, oh, like if we make the Champions League, he doesn't want to undervalue what he's trying to do, but he doesn't want to undervalue what Jurgen Klopp has done. So it was a bit of a balancing act, I thought, from throughout.
Yeah, I think he got the balance right. He sort of laid out, without saying too much detail, he's going to tweak things, but, laying out there's a lot of good foundation at the club. I think Richard Hughes gets mentioned quite a lot.
Yeah.
As in that's who he does a lot of conversations with, which I think is important to sort of get that point out, because I think a lot concentrate on Michael Edwards, and I think actually Michael Edwards isn't going to be as involved as people think. It is more Richard Hughes' gig, which is what it should be. But I think probably one of the more telling lines he said, which is what we want, is he talks about 82 points, because 82 points means you've got a good playing style, you've got a style of belief, but he said, we would all have liked Liverpool to be higher than third. He said, but we've got, we'll make some changes, said, but not too many. Which kind of says to me, that's not, I'm looking for fourth, that's, I want to build on what we did last year.
Yeah. It's, like when the interview starts, I think he does look a bit nervous at the start of it. And look, he's coming from Feyenoord, and he does well to mention Feyenoord a few times, Jordan, where he's saying, he talks about his progression. When he comes into Feyenoord, they're not in a great situation. He finishes wherever he finishes. He wins a league, he wins a cup, and he leaves a team now that have 2 seasons on the bounce in the Champions League. And their squad is of a value much more than it was when he came in, and I think he does well to mentioned Feyenoord, and then he's talking about similarities between Feyenoord and Liverpool and stuff like that. And I think Kev, I think he's trying to get across that. And like you said, you're not expecting huge changes, but I think he's trying to get across that this move for everybody is a move where it can be not seamless. No moves like this are seamless, but
No.
as smooth as you possibly can. Because he speaks about the similarities, then he speaks about the style of play. He doesn't just say no, whatever Klopp has done, forget about it because I'm here now. He's basically trying to tell you that, and I think it's right. I think he tells you, look, what is here is brilliant, but I want to add my little bit piece to it and bring certain things, different things to it. And then he mentions the backroom starter he's bringing in and explains them all. So, while it was a balancing act, I think he was trying to do. I think he's trying to get across that, look, don't worry, I'm not going to, like one of you said there, reinvent the wheel, but I do want to put my mark on it. And I think he just done it in a nice way. Now it might come across as some people saying, it might come across some people saying, look, he should have said this, he should have went for the gauntlet, and like, I think that's ridiculous, the sort of way. He shouldn't be coming in shouting his mouth off. There's another fella not far from Liverpool that shot his mouth off about ends of eras and all sorts of stuff when he arrived at Manchester United, and it didn't work for him. But I just liked what he done, and maybe that's the optimist in me. But I just liked that he didn't downplay what we could do, but he didn't hang himself out to dry from day one.
I think he's very much a details man. And I think that was the undercurrent through the whole interview. Things like, I watched a lot of the Liverpool games, and you can learn a lot from games. But I went back and watched the coaching sessions of what they were doing in between the games that I watched. So he's going to be. I mean, everything that we've heard about this guy is he's streets ahead of everyone that in Dutch football management since Cruyff. He's that's the level that everyone is talking about him in. So it's a hell of a reputation to be coming into a club like Liverpool with from the Netherlands. He's had that interview. Yeah, I can understand you saying he's nervous. He's doing it in his second language. It's his first sit down interview at a global club. And it's his first chance to make a first impression, and everything is going to be microanalyzed. He's 45 years of age. He's had some big jobs, but nothing on this scale. And he's got the balancing act right. But if he's the kind of guy that's going to come in and say, I'm looking at how they trained, what they did, what their attitude around the training ground was like. I've talked to the previous coaches. I've learned everything that I need to learn from them. I'll make my own judgments about the players that I have. But going by what I've seen, 82 points, there's room there for us to grow. He's not saying that we're going to hit 100 points and we're going to win the league, but he's obviously said he can sense that he's seen things that, we can gain more points by tweaking certain things with this squad and a few additions to come into it as well. Look, there's only positives to come out of this for me. I mean, you're going to get people who are going to, he should have demanded that FSG go out and back him with a big, huge money signing and, flog off the deadwood. He's not going to do that. He's not going to do that in public, and he's not going to do that in his first interview. I don't know what some people were expecting, but I don't think he's ever been that guy. And the fact that he was in demand last year, he played that, he mentioned that as well, where I think he was approached by Tottenham and he was approached by Chelsea, knocked them back, the timing wasn't right. But when a club like Liverpool comes in, even though I extended a Feyenoord, a club like Liverpool comes in, you have to go. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens over the next 2 weeks, because now that he's in the door, he's in, and we've seen him, we've met him now. We're going to want to see what happens next. The content team are in overdrive, as you normally expect, because you see little clips that come out that weren't released. The stuff where the reporter, the interviewer showed him the clip of Klopp singing his song, and he sat there. He's like, "Yeah, it doesn't get any better than this." This doesn't normally happen in football. This transition, this handover, is so rare in the modern game. It just rarely, if ever, happens now. So when it does happen, this is all his Christmas comes at once, because normally you're coming in replacing a guy who's been fired because he's done a shit job, or you're coming into an aging squad that you have to rebuild. It's the complete opposite of everything that is normal about this handover and transition. So he's got to learn how to manage that as well, because he's not coming into a squad where there's a load of bums and he's got to fire a load of people out. He's got to look at the squad that's there and think, yeah, the average age of the entire squad is really good. You know, the potential in this squad is massive. I think a lot of us anyway, we underplay how good the squad could be. Yeah, it needs a couple of additions, but it's not wholesale. It really isn't.
Yeah.
You expect the players that we signed last summer, you expect them to kick on this summer into their second season. We've seen it so many times where players come in their second season, they really hit their straps and they know what the league is about and they know what's required.
Yeah, he was very open as well, I suppose, about pre-season and what he's looking for from pre-season, and he's honest where he says, look, people are at the Euros. I hope all the Dutch players are at the Euros for a really long time. And that, I thought it was a nice thing to say, because he's like, most managers would be like, I want them all knocked out and back in the next 10 days. But he was I like that bit from him. But he does turn around and he does say, like, these players are going to be away. Some players will be back earlier. We will get them on this training ground. We will get them working. And I'm hoping that we'll start to get our kind of philosophy into them and they can help the players that come back a little bit later. So he wasn't bemoaning the fact that his players won't be back for another couple of weeks. He was just saying, look, we can get so many in, we can get working with them, and then we can translate that across to other players. But Chris, I think the biggest thing to come out of it is the mention of Richard Hughes, and I think you said it there before me, is the Richard Hughes being mentioned quite a bit. And when Arne Slot comes in, it's like, oh, he's the head coach. He knows he's going to have nothing to do with transfers and nothing to do with recruitment, and he's going to have nothing to do with this. And I think he puts that to bed fairly early in it today, where he mentions, I would say on at least 3 occasions, Richard Hughes' name and having calls with Richard Hughes. And again, I think that's important, because we've seen Richard Hughes being mentioned, Michael Edwards being mentioned, other scouts that are there, and there's other names, and I always forget them, right? But by saying that, and he's asked the question straight, your official title is head coach, but the guy interviewing him, I can't forget his name's going to my head.
Peter McDowell.
Peter McDowell. He actually calls him the manager before he asks him the question about the head coach thing. But it was really important that, for me, that he just says, look, I'm here. The head coach thing is I'm able to focus on this. And basically, Chris, is he telling you basically that, look, all the responsibility Jurgen Klopp ended up with, I'm not going to end up with. I'm not going to have as many distractions as him. I can concentrate on the pitch. But me and Richard Hughes are going to discuss incomings, outgoings, and have a really kind of balanced relationship in terms of that.
I think so, yeah. I mean, outside of England, on the continent, being the head coach and working with a director of football to get, liaising with transfers is pretty par for the course. And I actually think for a new manager, if all he's got to do is concentrate fully on training the team, getting the team ready, that can only be a good thing. From what I can say.
Yeah.
So I also think it's a thing the club have said with. This is a bit of a talking point that's coming out, but we just kind of need to put this to bed.
Yeah, I think so too. I think they didn't skirt around the issue of manager, head coach. They didn't skirt around the issue of transfers or recruitment. He asks them out straight, and he answers it. Do you know, the sort of way? And when I was looking at him across the thing, like, we got onto the Euros and stuff in a minute, but I wanted to talk about him. And look, it's a 15-minute interview. There's no revelations come out of it. It's more body language and how excited he looks. But Kev, coming back to you, and I'll let Chris answer the same then afterwards. The excitement thing comes in then, because he starts being asked about your first game pre-season, your first game pre-season, your first training session, your first game at Anfield, and you can see the excitement in him without him, hopping out of the chair. You can see the excitement in him, can't you?
Yeah, I mean, his first game is going to be in Pittsburgh, I think, and I think he was quite pleasantly surprised with the amount of players he's going to have available to him on day one, and the quality of some of the players that are going to be available from day one. The likes of your Curtis Jones, Harvey Elliott's, these kind of players, Stefan Bactic, are all going to be in day one, and he can get to work with them. And this LSC TV are going to be absolutely loving life. The fact that this preseason is going to be one of the most watched, if not the most watched preseason I think the club have had in years. So it's going to be huge. He's going to be analyzed, microanalyzed, overanalyzed. But at the end of the day, it's preseason. We want to see. We're all going to tune in to watch to see, does he really line up with a 4-2-3-1? Is he going to adapt the 4-3-3 to play it slightly differently, a more Dutch style of play? We don't know. That's what we're all going to be watching to see. And then from there, we're going to start thinking, okay, well, this is how he's going to set up. Where's the players that we're going to be kind of looking at down the line? Who's going to blend in? Who's all the talking stuff is going to come from that. So we'll see. It's exciting. It is exciting. You can't help but getting like itchy feet. We're getting a taster now with the Euros, with the live football being back and stuff like that. But nothing beats this for me. Nothing beats Liverpool getting back. And it's not. It comes around. It's 7 weeks to start the season. That's going to bounce off. That's not far at all. And by then we'll pretty much know where we are. We'll have seen a load of games involved in it. We'll see the evolution over the preseason to see what we're going to be looking like when we bounce into Ipswich. So yeah, can't wait. Really looking forward to it.
Chris, he has to be excited. I think like you said, he's done well in the interview to, like I said, mention Feyenoord. He's done well in the interview to give kudos to Jurgen Klopp, but he has to be looking forward now. He has to be looking forward to me first game, getting the players in when they all come back, and I actually think he done well to curb it a little bit, because I still think part of him is, as like you mentioned at the close to the start of the interview, where he says, we left this interview for a while, in respect to Jurgen Klopp and whatever else. So, but he has to be looking forward now, Chris. He just, it's done now. He's the manager of Liverpool Football Club, and now the work starts today. He has to be looking forward to these things because, no disrespect to Feyenoord, but, Anfield, his first game, it'll be special for him.
Yeah, sure it will. I mean, I think the best thing, I think it probably did in the world of good having that little bit of a break, which is the thing. It's very rare you get that opportunity, because normally when the manager's left, it's not because you bin them off because of the problem, or it's mid-season. So you have to sort of jump into it, because once he gets into pre-season, he has to deal with the English press and those lunatics looking at us talking about his every move. He's got to get no respite. As we saw with Klopp, he barely got any respite for the time he was at Liverpool. So he'll do him well good. He name checks Van Dijk, saying that's who he spoke to. I've no doubt he's probably spoke to Salah because he's not on international duty. But I quite like the fact he said, the rest of them I'm just going to leave alone until they come back. So, yeah, I think everyone's just intrigued because we don't know what he's going to do. There is a chance he sticks to 4-3-3, tweaks the style slightly, and maybe 4-2-3-1 is evolved over the season. Just because whatever new players he brings in, it's going to take time for him to get his training methods in. I think this is an important pre-season for him, though, because pretty much from September to January, there's barely any midweeks free, because you've got the 8 Champions League games, you've got the midweek Carabao Cup. There isn't actually that many 3 breaks where he's going to get a week off. So this first 7 weeks of training and probably the first 3 games of August are probably the most vital time he's going to get a lot of his ideas across.
Yeah. Kev, was there anything missing? Was there anything missing from the interview that you thought I would have liked to see? Now, I'm not talking about fucking. Oh, we could have told us 3 players he was going to sign, or, but
would have been nice, wouldn't it?
Yeah, and they talk about Virgil, and he doesn't name check anybody else. He name checks his captain and he leaves it at that. Was there anything from the interview you walked away from going, I would have liked to know a little bit more about that? And I'm not even going down the road of contracts here because I don't think they're anybody's
No,
business until
I
that's
think the only standout is he said he's got two positions on his coaching staff that he hasn't filled yet.
yeah,
And with preseason is starting in, we're guessing a few days.
yeah,
You'd hope that those ones are in and done. The fact that the goalkeeping coach is still working with the US team
yeah,
and will be involved with until the Copa America is finished,
yeah,
and they have a chance of going deep in that. They could go to quarterfinals and beyond. You wouldn't know. So he's got to move to the UK, settle in, and get to know the keepers. I know Allison is going to be away with Brazil, but the rest of them are going to be back. So you're going to be looking at Taffarel probably working with the keepers. There's a few holes in the coaching staff that you'd have liked to have been filled
yeah.
before this interview went out. But other than that, I wasn't expecting the Earth, Moon, and Stars. I think he handled it really well. He delivered pretty much what I wanted to hear. And yeah, I'm happy enough for that. I like the fact, like what Chris was saying, the emphasis on Richard Hughes, the fact that there is a split there on responsibility. The fact that we are looking, I think we're looking to more go down the director of football route, like the most sides on the continent. He handles the football business side. Arne Slot manages the football playing side, and the two of them agree around a philosophy of or a way of or type of players to bring in and let go and work together to develop the club. So going forward, that looks like it's set in stone. And he was asked about his cornerstones, like his principles and what have you. And to be honest, they're very modern. What you'd expect out of a modern football manager. You've seen a lot of it with younger coaches, the way they want the game to be played: aggressive possession, win the ball high up, score goals, defend well, players take responsibility. All of that stuff is what you want to hear and what you expect to hear. But the other side of it, I would have liked to have had hope. I would have hoped that the coaching staff would have been done, dusted, signed off, ready to go on day
Yeah,
one.
O'Shea makes the point though that there was a person they were trying to bring in, but there was a problem with his work visa, and as well as that, he does mention that he's bringing in, there's himself, there's an assistant manager, I think there's a data analyst, and there's some performance person. They're already in.
Coach, yeah.
They're already in. So the big ones that you would expect are in. I think he's talking about two kind of somewhere else within the coaching staff. But like, yeah, I'm with you to an extent. You'd like him to say, yeah, they're all here and we're all ready to go. But these things happen. And I think that one where the guy couldn't get a work permit was probably unforeseen, but that's where it goes. Look, he's done the interview. Kev said earlier he expects the content team to be an overdrive. Now, I don't know how much more you can throw out. They held bits back to throw out as little snippets on their own after the interview. But now it's probably waiting until, whatever date they're coming back. It was rumoured it was the 2nd of July or something. But now it's rumoured that they're coming back a few days earlier than that. But whenever they come back and he's on the training ground, you get more. But up until then, I'd say I'll be fairly quiet. And the transfer stuff, we've looked to do transfer shows this summer, and look, there's just nothing happening. So there's no point. You know what I mean? Now, there is times where we do one where we just have loads of names being popped about and we discuss them between ourselves without any kind of, there's no inside knowledge and there's no real meaning to them. It's just talking about players for the sake of talking about them. And sometimes that's good because, names come up and I'd be like, who are you talking about? So it gives me a chance to go off and look at them. But things we have been watching, I presume, between the three of us, is the Euros. And Chris, I'll come to you first because I've gone terrible at watching football if it's not Liverpool, right?
Yeah.
And even in a summer break where you kind of go, Liverpool aren't playing any football on, I'm still quite bad at it. But I have to say, anything I've watched of the Euros, bar the England game, to be honest with you, I've really enjoyed.
Yeah, I have. I think it's been one of the more entertaining tournaments we've had. I think it's probably the best Euros for a little while. Plenty of goals, plenty of excitement, plus England. But that's just part of the course of how England play. It's dull. But what I've quite liked is some of the lesser fancied nations. I missed it today, but I know was it Albania got a draw with Croatia?
Yeah.
Which is seen as like, oh wow. I think we were watching. I think me and Kev were messaging the other day. Turkey Georgia. Finished 3-1 Turkey, but Georgia give it a real go. So most of the games, probably the only big battering was Scotland in the opening against Germany. But I'll be honest, they're on a bit of a high to nothing playing the hosts opening game and going down to 10 men. I think that kind of killed their chances. Belgium losing to Slovakia. So I like the fact there's been probably the less fancy teams, Austria making France work for it. It's been quite good to watch.
The France-Austria game was brilliant.
Yeah.
The speed of it was brilliant.
But it's been great because it's quite nice watching just footy that's entertaining. And for most of the games, I couldn't really care who wins. So it's actually just quite nice to sit and watch it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think it's the, you're hoping going into the Premier League, that's kind of what football will be, a bit more of that entertainment side of it. And listen, the elephant in the room, VAR, I'll be fair, with the semi-automatic offsides, you can see why it's in Europe. It begs belief why it wasn't put in the Premier League last year, because I think the longest decision I've seen for an offside is 40 seconds.
Yeah, there's one in the Scotland game tonight where a guy in Bolo, is it? He gets put through, and he cuts through, and when he hit through, I thought he's offside, and he literally puts it in the net. The flag goes up, and 10 seconds later, boom, he was offside. And we just continue on. But I have to be honest, it's been really entertaining. I do like this fact that the smaller nations have had a go in Albania, Georgia, and even when you look at Romania against Ukraine, I genuinely didn't fucking know Romania was in the Euros, right? Like, honestly, right? They were playing the other night, a couple of nights ago, and they come up on the screen, right? I know it comes up UKR at the top of the screen for Ukraine, and I had whatever, right? ROA or up at the top for, and I was genuinely sitting there for about 3 minutes going, who the fuck are they? And I was trying to think of countries, and I couldn't think of them, and I ended up having to go onto my app to check my scores app to see who Ukraine were playing. I didn't know what Romania were in it, and but to see them, like, they put Ukraine away 3-0, and a couple of groups being blown open by these different types of results, and a lot of them will go down to the last game. There's usually one team in every group wins the 2 games, boom, they're in, and you nearly bet against them in the third group game. But a lot of these look like they could get down like to the last games, and a lot riding on the boat. But Kev, like Chris says, like, really entertaining. Smaller teams having a go, and just I suppose Chris is right. It's just where you can sit and watch and go, I don't fucking care who wins this, but please let it be entertaining, and it has been.
For the main, I mean, I watched Portugal last night, and I didn't enjoy it. I thought I fancy Portugal to do well. When I watched them against Ireland, they looked free-flowing and attacking, what have you. I know we were dross, but at the same time, I expected a lot more from Portugal. And when I saw the way they were set up, I just thought, you can never take the Everton truly out of a manager. It was diabolical how Roberto Martinez set that Portugal side up with the talent that he has available to him.
The bleeding fullbacks everywhere, hadn't he?
Yeah, started the game with 3 fullbacks, playing a back 3-4-3 that didn't work with Belgium, and he's trying to do the same thing with Portugal. With the talent that he has available to him, it's unbelievable. But yeah, there's been some really good, some belting goals. We're going to look back at this at the end of the group stage, and you look at some of the goals. Shaqiri's goal tonight.
Shaqiri's goal is like postage stamp,
Yeah, exactly. And the thing is, you forget that Xherdan Shaqiri is younger than Kevin De Bruyne.
Yeah.
Although the way that Kevin De Bruyne has turned up at this tournament, you can see why. You ever see a player who's like a boxer that ages in the ring? Kevin De Bruyne has aged over the last 3 months.
Hasn't Shaqiri set a record now as well? Is it 6 consecutive?
6. Yeah, he's the first player to score in 6 consecutive tournaments in this tournament.
He's got 10 goals now, hasn't he, across the Euros and World Cups, which is some big names.
But Calvin says it there, right? Sorry, Bob says Romania, Bulgaria in the 90s were great. I remember Bulgaria beating Germany in the 94 World Cup. Was it Lechkov? The guy that got the header for them? You had Stoichkov playing for them.
Lechkov in that
was the baldy fella wore the number 9 jersey. He was brilliant.
Yeah, I think he was the 3rd top scorer in the tournament.
Yeah. And then
But
you
back
had
then,
in Romania, you had Hadji and you had Dimitrescu and Petrescu.
Dan
You had you
Petrescu,
had some great. They really did. I loved Bulgaria in the '94 World Cup. I
yeah.
just fucking loved them. I think they got 1-0 down to Germany in the '94 World Cup and beat them 2-1. And I think it was at like Soldier Field or something like that. It was a bleeding deadly stadium.
I was looking at something earlier on that listed the top 10 youngest scorers in European Championships, and Dragan Stojkovic is on that list. I think he's about the third or fourth youngest player to ever score at a European Championships, and I think he's a manager now for one of the countries in this tournament.
Yeah,
it's like it's been one of those tournaments. I agree with Chris. Is like you can sit and watch. You can come home from work. The timing is great. What you said last time was bang on. Host it in Germany all the time.
Oh, fucking every tournament should be there.
The weather is guaranteed. The cities are amazing. The stadiums are fantastic, and the atmosphere.
They're all drinking beer in the stands. It's fucking brilliant.
Yeah,
they're absolutely
brilliant.
Time,
like.
And there hasn't been a bleeding peep out of anyone. There hasn't been a peep out of anyone because the Germans won't fuck about. You know what I mean?
And the thing is, it's wide open. This tournament, after we've seen everyone now. We'll see at the end of the group stages, after sides have played 3 games, you'll get a couple of injuries here and there, a few suspensions or whatever. We'll see who's really at it. Because it's all well and good turning up and playing good for one game or playing bad in one game. But over 3 games, you'll get a feel for it. But at the minute, the Germans Germany today managed that game out pretty well. But some of the goals they scored, some of the way they attacked, but they can still be got at.
Yeah.
You know, it's just
Hungary had quite a few chances against them as well.
Yeah, they did.
Bob says, no, not Bob, Calvin says, how did he get that Portugal job? Another thing, Calvin, just to let you know, I hadn't a fucking clue Roberto Martinez was the Portugal manager till someone said it just before the tournament started. I was like, no, was he not Belgium manager? And like they sacked him or he got rid of him. And someone said to me, yeah, and he went and got the fucking Portugal job. I was like, what is going on here?
It's literally like a week after Belgium let him go, he went out rock up at Portugal. That was it. It's
fucking madness. Ashley says 28.6% of goals scored at Euro 2024 so far have been from outside the box. No of the European Championships has had a higher percentage of long-range goals. And when you think long-range goals, you think the quality of football probably isn't there and people are just taking pot shots. I think the quality of football has been really good in the sense that when teams go to attack, they go to attack. You know what I mean? Like you see teams in years gone by where they're pretty on the ball and the football is great, but they get to a certain point in the pitch and you go, but they've nothing else. You know what I mean? They just become very pedestrian there. But this is like a higher pace, more direct sort of tournament. I think it's brilliant.
The one thing that I've noticed so far, almost every single country, bar 1 or 2, almost all of them have that one player that can be a difference maker. And Kvaratskhelia is one. You know, there's a few others that are, you know, individuals that are way ahead of their nations, but it feels like they can drag other players up to their level and they can go with it as long as they've got one guy to hang on to. That, yeah, he can do something for us. Hungary today, I mean, they were either all going forward, all going at it, or they were dropping back into shape, and Germany managed to catch them in between the two. But Kirkes and Szoboszlai, they were very good today. You know, they were unlucky with some of the chances that they had, but some of the interplay that they had when they were going forward was really good to watch. And you know, has anyone, when any of the games that you've watched, was like, yeah, he's got something about him. He should be looking for a move to the Premier League. Has anyone really?
Kev.
Has anyone really stood out?
I'd be looking at the game, and I don't care who they are. I'll just watch the game. Like honestly, I fucking don't. Like Bob says, begin as winger and McTominay as a 10. Doesn't make sense. Scotland waste their talents to play opposition. I actually think what Scotland were trying to do tonight was he was putting McTominay in the 10 to sit on Xhaka and to make sure every time Xhaka got it, he was hounded, and it actually worked for the vast majority of the game. McGinn on the left hand side is actually a ploy to try pin the fullback and either win ball off him or win fouls off him. But I agree, there is times where Scotland probably need to change that around and stick a winger out there and, you know, do something else. But they were a bit unlucky in fairness tonight, Scotland. If someone can check on the 94 World Cup Germany against Bulgaria and just let me know why the scoring went and what stadium it was at, because it's doing me head in now. So someone check that in the chat there and come back to me. Go on, Chris. What are you going to say?
I think also the reason they do it again, because they play a back three, they allow someone like a Robson to really bomb on to give the width. So they're not asking him to hug a touchline. I think it's more just when they're out of possession, he does that. As soon as they've got in possession, he's pretty much very central.
Yeah.
Almost like 2/8 or 2/10 they play with.
But the argument there for me is when it comes to Scotland is, take Robertson out. Take Robertson out and put him again in your left wing back and stick an actual winger up ahead of him when you're looking to change the game. Now, I'm not saying Robertson's not a bad game. I think he's an okay game. He's unlucky near the end with the header across the box. But sometimes when Scotland need to take a risk, they were just changing a bit like for me towards the end there. Whereas if it was me, I would have said, you know what? McGinn had to come off, so put a winger out there. Or don't go on an actual full-back at wing-back. Go for somebody that is a bit of a hybrid midfielder, and McGinn probably fits that. Someone says they think Bulgaria won 1-0. I could have sworn Germany went ahead. I could have sworn Klinsmann scored.
All right. It's saying here, golden goal, Lechkov, Bulgaria.
Was there a golden goal?
Germany. A golden goal, yeah.
I thought it was a 2-1 game, but Lechkov definitely scores a goal.
God, remember those
The
days?
score was 1-1. The score was 1-1 at 90 minutes, but then out of nowhere, fantastic
Who
pass
scored for Germany?
I'm just looking through the match report now. Let's have a look.
So the Swan Klinsmann scored for them. And then Bulgaria equals, and Lechkov scores were headed to win it. Baldy fella.
Oh yeah, Lechkov scored the winner. Stoichkov scored the Bulgaria goal.
And the German
the German one. Bulgaria push. No, can't find it. I'll find it if just.
Right, I'll leave you to that, Kev.
Yeah,
what stadium was it?
Leave me to that, and I'll find it. Giant Stadium.
Was it Giant Stadium?
Giant Stadium.
Oh, I didn't think it was a Giant Stadium. I'll look off it. Anyway, it's 30 years ago. So in fairness, what was I going to say? Yeah, so we're approaching the end of the second round of games.
Lothar Matthäus scored.
Matthäus,
yeah, penalty.
Stoichkov scored on 75th minute. Matthäus scored first, then Stoichkov. Lechkov scored in the 78th minute. My mistake. It was a different game. Yeah, it was Giant Stadium.
Yeah, I had a feeling it was a more open stadium, lower on the sides than that, but I'm obviously wrong. But I remember Lechkov, loved him.
But it was a quarterfinal.
Yeah,
he was a proper winger, wasn't he? He was a proper right midfielder.
He was just fucking brilliant. He was just brilliant. The baldy fella, I'm nearly sure he wore the number 9. He just ran around. But look, that's World Cups from fucking 30 years ago. I'm only getting into that because Ireland beat Italy on this day yesterday. I think it was 30 years ago.
Yeah.
But look, with regards to the Euros, we standout teams. I still think France looked brilliant. Although Austria worked them hard. Spain looked good against Croatia. Holland actually looked good. If they took their chances, they'd be flying.
I missed the game.
Yeah, they did look good. But
Gakpo had a good game on the left wing.
Before we leg it, because look, we're just going to touch over the Euros, and we might do a bit more as the week goes on. But who's your favourites, lads? I know we're 1/2 games in for some, but who are you thinking? Chris?
I think it's hard to see past France. I think they have the most balanced squad.
Yeah,
I kind of like it to be someone other than France, just for a bit of variety, because I kind of feel if France go out early-ish, below France, I think it's quite open there.
Yeah, Kev, could you make an argument for the Germans?
You could, but I think they could be got at, especially with the likes of Jonathan Tah at the back. Italy looked really sharp. Chiesa looked unbelievable.
Yeah, Chiesa did look
and
really good.
That goal from Barella as well was special. Italy looked really good.
On his way to Bayern, Chiesa.
He's on his way to Bayern, isn't he?
That's the rumour, is Bayern are interested in him.
Oh, he was really good. Yeah. He was really
good. I'll be honest, I haven't a clue how the draws, if the groups finish how we think they're going to finish, I haven't a clue who's going to play who in the round of 16. So from there,
you see, what you needed to do, Kev, was, right? You needed to be watching the newspapers the weekend it started, where they bring out the wall planners that you can lash up on the fridge or on the bleeding. You know, you stick her on the. We used to stick her on the wall on the sitting room.
On the sitting
and
room,
my man used to go, "What the fuck is that doing?" And we're going, "Well, we're watching the matches here. We just put the scores as we're going." You know, there was
ours was on the back. Ours was on the back of the front room door.
Yeah, no, ours was on the wall in the sitting room, and there was probably pictures of fucking your auntie or something getting strewn across the thing. This poster had to go up, but yeah, like it's. I would you. I'm a Chris. I'm a Chris. I'm thinking. I think you struggle to see past France, not only because they're the most balanced, but when you look at what come on from the other night, you know, they just brought on players like where you went, Jesus Christ, Camavinga's coming on, and then even when you bring Giroud on, he's a fucking nuisance.
He's a handful,
and he's just different. And don't get me wrong, like, you know,
N'Golo Kante comes back. And thinks,
Kante comes back. They must have told me he was playing Liverpool.
Red, that's it.
Yeah, they must have just said, that's Liverpool out there, and he went, I'm fit. But he's 33. I didn't realise he was that old.
Yeah.
But he's 33, and he was fucking phenomenal.
Everywhere, wasn't he?
And your man, every time I see him, the left back, Hernandez, is it? The left back.
Yeah, Theo Hernandez.
Yeah, he just fucking gets better and better every time I see that fella. He's a machine up and down the left. But look, having said that, you could get into quarters and semi-finals, wherever way they fall, and it could be the bounce of a ball. Because it will get really, really tight, and I think it's a good tournament. I really, really do think it's a good tournament. I'd love to see a couple of unfancy teams get through. You know, just get through and just fucking see what happens, just to make it a bit not a bit more not a bit more interesting, just a bit. This is a bit mad. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And see where it goes from there.
Maybe because third place can potentially get you qualified. Maybe that's why it's a bit more open, because teams are thinking, if we get one win.
Yeah,
that could be enough.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
4 points probably guarantees you at least third.
Yeah, it's the 6 top teams, the 6 second place teams, and 4 of the next 6. Is that right?
Yeah,
yeah.
So like only fucking like, you know what I mean? Like there's a fair chance there. Like, do you know what I mean? That you get through.
That point for Scotland tonight. If they can get a result, if they
be hungry, they'll go through.
They're on 4 points. Even with a negative goal difference.
Doesn't matter.
Even with a negative goal difference, they'll be okay.
Yeah, but look, it's been a good tournament so far. We will cover a bit more. People have asked us about doing some watch-alongs. We may do them at some stage. We'll see when the lads are available. We will touch on any transfer stuff if it happens, and all that sort of stuff. The link is in the description for our fundraisers if you want to donate. Nobody's fucking donating. It's appalling. But we're going to keep going anyway. But the links are there if you want to donate. If you can't, please share it amongst your family and friends. As I said, the link's there. The link's also there for Phil's one, for the Laura Lynn Hospice, for all the quests he's doing, and they're phenomenal. The last one was 200 kilometers on a bike, which was absolutely fucking mad. And if you want to donate to the golf day, there's still a chance. There's about 9 days left till we play that. If you want to donate, if you want to sponsor a tee box on that, it's €100 per tee box. Email us talkinkop1@gmail.com, and we will look after you. Or you can message us on Twitter or Instagram or whatever way you want to do it. Please do it there. I think we're going to leave it. We said about 45, and I think we're bang on. So we're going to leave it about there. Arne Slot has come and done his first interview. Give her a week, and we'll have a lot more stuff on that. Give her a week, and we'll have loads more on the Euros as well. But we'll leave you for now. We might try to get a show in tomorrow or Friday night. We should be back on Sunday. We weren't here on Sunday because it was Father's Day and everyone was out having a lovely time. So we should be back on Sunday to do what? I don't fucking know. But we'll figure something out. Thanks a million to Kev. Thanks a million to Chris. Thanks a million to everyone in the chat. And go and enjoy a bit more Euros, and we'll talk to you soon. Over and out.